Big red butt. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Let me turn on my donut disturb mode for 1 hour. And then I will say good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast, episode 182.
182.
I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis, and joining me as always is my co-host, Adam Bell.
Hey, Peter, how you doing today?
All in all, pretty good.
Yeah?
All in all, pretty good. Yeah, we got, dealing with some health issues that we've talked about on previous podcasts, which I will not get into today. Why? Because I'm going to get into them tomorrow on the Friends with Brews podcast.
Yeah, so if you are a Blurring the Lines podcast listener, you're going to have to listen to Friends with Brews to hear all that Peter has going on.
That's right. If you're a fan of Peter Nikolaidis and you want to find out what's going on with his personal health problems that he's fighting with, don't, dear listener, don't get me wrong. I am putting up a good fight. It's all good. It's all good.
Peter's not dying. I mean, spoiler, Peter's not dying.
Well, I mean,
we all are, but
we're all kind of dying. Yeah.
Yeah. After 18, it's all downhill from there. So we are dying, but not dead yet.
Not dead yet. I've got some kicking left in me. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. Why don't you go first, Adam?
Okay. Well, we had a good Thanksgiving holiday. We went up to Sevierville and visited with my wife's family and went to Dollywood. If you've never been to Dollywood, it's a fun, family friendly adventure place, whether you have little kids or big kids. There's plenty to do, plenty to eat, and it's a nice atmosphere. I don't know if you've ever been to parks where it's been like nasty teenage kids that are rude and it's just really a family friendly oriented place.
Okay.
So
not really. I mean, I've been to like some like water parks and slides things where people were just where it was kind of gross, but no. So
yeah, I mean, people are people. Everywhere you go, some people are having a bad day and some people are having a good day. I mean, so
people are people.
People are people. It's cool though. So there's a roller coaster there that we really like. It's called the Wild Eagle. That's not right. But it starts with wild. But it's the under the rails coaster. So you sit in it and your feet are hanging under the coaster. And
that just doesn't right off the bat does not strike me as good.
So it's fantastic. It's a steel coaster. I mean, it's super smooth. So the experience is, I hate it when I get off a roller coaster and I'm disoriented and my head hurts and I feel like I've been beat up in a car wreck. So it's awesome. So you take off and the great big hill, you take off and there's nothing under you. Your feet are just dangling. So if you don't have your shoes tied, you would lose them or everything. But it's an awesome ride. The thing I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I just didn't. I mean, forgot means it implied that I remembered. But I never once thought about it. But at the end of the roller coaster, my phone thinks I've been in a car accident.
You're one of those people.
So yes. I was once going 70 miles an hour and now I have stopped, and my phone, it gives you an alert. I mean, it says, hey, something bad has happened. I am about ready to alert the authorities. And my hands are like T-Rex. I can't reach my pocket because I have a bar that's, a harness system that has got me protected so that I can hang from this coaster. And there's nothing I can do. Lexi and I are just I said, my phone's getting ready to go off. It's getting ready to dial 911. And it did. And by the time I got to to get off the coaster, the woman said, hello. And I wanted to pick it up because I wanted to make sure to let them know, emergency services, this is not an emergency. Don't send it somebody. And she said, "Are you okay, sir?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay." And she said, "Are you riding roller coasters?" I said, "Yes, I am." And she says, "Okay, so you need to put your phone in airplane mode, or you need to turn it off completely so that you don't tie up this line." I said, "Yes, ma'am." But she was
You
very
seem to have a lot of 911 calls to share recently. Because I just listened to the replay of the most recent Friends with Bruce, where you shared the story again about the time when you had your employee, as part of a obvious hazing ritual,
obvious
swat
hazing.
himself.
So, but she was very professional and she was very friendly about it. So, of course, we're in Sevierville, and the dispatch goes to the closest place, and it goes to the operator in Sevierville. And I mean, she looks me up immediately on the map and sees he's in
Dollywood.
Dollywood. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I did appreciate her attitude,
Yeah.
because she could have been, "Hey, dummy, you went, why are you wasting the line or whatever here with 911?" I'm like, "Because I didn't intentionally do that."
Dummy.
So she was very friendly. I appreciated that. So, and the call took 15, 20 seconds, and I was off clear.
That's good. So you only wasted 15, 20 seconds. Well, actually, no, you wasted more of her time, though, because she was already on. She was like doing the hello.
Yeah, she doing hello, and yeah. So, but it's that feature works. So, but I did find I could have left my phone in regular mode, but I would have needed to go in there and turn crash detection off, and that would have fixed my problem.
Yep.
So
That's might be a good use of an iOS shortcuts.
yeah.
Like a personal automation, when you get near a roller coaster, just have it disable crash detection.
Well, yeah, that would be a good iOS shortcut.
Yep. That's the kind of thing where you think like they might be able to like have a beacon or something. So like when you get close to an amusement park, hey, we've noticed you're in an amusement park. Would you like to turn off crash detection until you are back in your CarPlay enabled car or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds brilliant.
So what else is going on?
So I am at the farm right now. I'm getting a barn delivered. Well, I'm getting a barn built, not delivered. Today, the material was being delivered. And I was here at 9 o'clock for that material to be delivered. I just now, the guy just now started unloading the material about 10 minutes before our podcast started, because his 24-foot bed big truck got stuck in the creek.
Huh.
Aha.
Huh. So you still
And
get that creek issue there. Because you've
yeah.
talked about that. We've discussed that on the podcast before
Mm-hmm.
about getting, it's kind of remote.
Yeah. So the he got stuck in the creek, and it's of course all the materials loaded on the truck, so it's extremely heavy. He said, "Well, do you have a tractor that you can help?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a tractor. I mean, and it's a big tractor, but it's not big enough for for this. Like it's a 3500, so it's bigger than a truck, like a regular truck or car. Like I could I could turn your Tesla upside down. I mean, like if I scooped under it with the bucket, I could flip it over. So it's a pretty powerful piece of machinery, but it's still nowhere near powerful enough to do what needed to be done to move this truck. But he's like, "Well, you want to give it a try? We can try to push, pull." I'm like, "Yeah, let's give it the old college try here. Get you stuck." And it wasn't happening. He said, "Well, we're gonna have to call a tow truck." And I said, "Well, I know a semi tow truck shop nearby here," and I called them. And do you want to take a guess how much it costs to get a tow truck big enough to move another truck?
Well, geez, I guess I should adjust for COVID. It's probably going to cost more than $1,000 these days.
That would be a good guess. So the driver, he's like, oh man, I'm so mad. He said it's going to cost $1,500 to get that truck towed out. And I was like, so I called the tow truck company. They gave me a price. They said it was, he said, well, I won't move this truck for less than $650. Yeah. And it's $550 per hour. So if I come there, if I pull it right out, no problem. You know, I won't bill you the time for the hour, but if I spend an hour there, I'm billing you another 550, which is still, I mean,
1,000 is less than 1,500, right?
yeah. So, and he came out and he pulled the truck out because he just backed down. We put cables attached to the truck and cable pulled the truck out. I mean, it looked easy. It looked like picking up a child. It was so easy.
Nice.
But he only charged him $500. He didn't charge him the extra cost per hour because they were only 15 minutes away. You know, it's a easy $500.
Yeah, I mean, I know, and you know, sometimes you feel like I had a similar feeling like a couple nights ago. I did a migration for a client, and it was just, you know, it was like, yeah, I still take some of these small jobs every now and then, and this was literally just to migrate a file from a MacBook to a new one, and that was it.
A file?
No, like all user profiles,
okay.
like all settings, whole kind of thing. But something went wrong in the process. Like the migration assistant did not work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was funny because this laptop, it's a managed laptop that you know, it's under Paradigms Management. And it has two profiles on it: our Knox remote support help desk account and my client. And while I'm going through it, I was like, you know, it prompted me, enter the new password for your remote support. And I was like, okay, I can't document this right now. It's a dynamically managed password anyway. So I'm just going to put, you know, a bunch of X's, you know, 10 X's right now. And then I had her type in her password. So we were both there. You see, both are selected. Otherwise it wouldn't be asking me for a password. Migration completes. And of course, you know, it starts off, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to run for, 3 hours. And then it's an hour and a half, and then an hour and 20 minutes. Then it's, 30 minutes, and then it's finished. And when it's done, there's no sign of my client's profile. It's not there in the login. And furthermore, that 10x's password that I set does not work for the remote support account.
Nice.
I was like, wonderful. So I had to wipe the thing. I had to go into recovery mode, wipe it out, install a fresh copy of this was still on Mavericks, one version of the operating system back, even though it's brand new hardware. Do a fresh copy of it, fire it up, once again, try Migration Assistant. This time I said, let's not bother with the remote support account, just leave that one out. And I deleted did a little more cleanup on the source machine. Not that I think that was the issue, but I deleted out, because she has had several MacBooks and PowerBooks over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And she just moved all of her stuff. So I'm finding applications on here that are 20 years old almost. At least 50, there was stuff from 2004. So, you know, stuff that goes back to like the original Mac OS 10 kind of stuff. Now I was deleting those. Second time was a charm. Everything worked out okay. But I was just saying, you know, it reminded me of conversations I've had with you and with Scott, and like, how are mortals supposed to do this? You know, like when the migration system works, it's amazing. You know, it's like you run it on this machine, you run it on that machine, it tells you what to do. But then when it doesn't, you know, I had to boot into recovery mode. I had to drop into a command prompt. Fortunately, File Vault was not enabled, so I was able to just reset her password without having to, you know, dig up a File Vault key. But it was a pain. You know, it was not fun. It was not fun. But several hours later, I'm done with this, and she's, you know, insisting. You know, I'm feeling kind of guilty because, like, you know, I was just sitting around, but I was doing work. Right. I wasn't just twiddling my thumbs for hours while files copied, because, you know, while she was doing this, I was helping with something else and stuff, you know, but in the end, you know, the bill for a few hours of my time, my bill's over $1,000. And I'm like, But she repeatedly, like 4 times, like, it's worth it. It's worth having you do this. It's worth, you making sure this is gonna. I was like, all right. I sent the invoice today, got payment just like that.
There you go.
But I can. But getting back to the tow truck guy, I'm like, I could, he probably was like, all right, it was pretty easy,
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to sleep at night if I bill him the extra 500 for the extra 4 minutes that I was here? Probably.
Yeah.
But
well,
maybe not today.
In all fairness, I mean, he told me ahead of time, and I agreed to it. I was like,
Yep.
come on. I mean, I don't have a choice here. Time is money. I can go try to nickel and dime my way down to a cheaper tow truck driver.
Yep.
And I could be here all night.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Let's go.
That's it. Just get it done. Time is money. That's something I kind of funny to spin this around in a totally different direction. So this gal I'm dating, are you familiar with the concept of love languages?
Time is money, and the girl you're dating?
Yeah,
hold on now.
This
is a G-rated
I should have known you would have gone there. Are you familiar with I'm gonna just lean into it. Are you familiar with the concept of love languages?
Yes, I am familiar with love languages.
Okay, so I'm just curious. And you don't get into details here, but are yours and your wife's love languages directly map? Like, is the way you express it the way she likes to be received, or
we're pretty compatible. I mean, my love language is time spent.
Yep.
That's one of them. We're both not very gift oriented. I mean, we like gifts enough, but it's about equally, it's like, hey, I thought about you, when you get something, like, oh, I was really thinking about you if I got you something,
Yep.
So, and it's reciprocal.
Yep. So I'm more of the, I like time spent, physical touch, but I'm also about acts of service or deeds.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I like to do things, and I like when things are done for me. Right. That's one way. So I like to give and receive those. I'm not so big on gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And the gal that I've been seeing now is kind of into gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to generally give gifts, but part of that was definitely, some legacy baggage from my marriage, where, I was married to someone who wanted, little things, little extravagant things like a car. That's what she thought were good gifts that she was entitled to. And, when I realized that the current gal, like, if I give her like a small bar of chocolate or some flowers or something, that counts in her book.
It's thoughtful.
It is, I think I just a little thing that I thought about her. And, even though that's not my default go-to, right? But I realized that, I would rather like make her dinner, or something like that, or migrate her. This was not her laptop, but I would like to, like, she recently bought a new MacBook as well. And I was like, let me do this. She's like, I'll just take it to the Apple store. I'm like, no,
it'd make me happy to do this.
Yeah, but it's also, this is what, I also feel somewhat slighted. It's just like, this hello, why are you? You'd rather go to a genius and have them, So, but I realized recently, though, too, is like, for a pittance, I can give a small gift, which she receives well. And, compared to the amount of time it takes me to cook dinner, my time is worth a lot. Yeah. So, if so I flipped it around. I was like, oh, she just wants me to save my time and not waste it. Okay, fine. That's good.
Yeah.
So anyway, time is money, so I was like, all right, I'm not going to spend my time on that. Instead, I'll spend a few bucks, box of chocolate, handful, thoughtfully deliver it, and we win.
What's funny is I really like to do things for people. I really don't like people to do things for me.
Yeah, so I'm generally like that myself. But like if I appreciate the gesture,
Mm-hmm.
but then I often won't let them actually do it. So, so like if you
Yeah.
start like I'm cooking dinner for you tonight. Oh wow, that's great. That's really thoughtful. I'm touched by that. And then I'll
Mm-hmm.
sit there and then 5 minutes later I'm in the kitchen helping,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
just the fact that, someone would have taken that first step is enough for me to feel, appreciated and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so I think yeah, I think that lines up.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's not 100% though, because when you describe like if my wife makes dinner, she always makes dinner, and then I'll clean up, but I don't mind her making me dinner because that's not something I want to do. I
But
mean,
that's different,
yeah, I will do it, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So, well, cool. All right.
What else?
Yeah, so I mentioned we're getting a barn, and the reason we're getting the barn, the lavender is coming. Winter is coming. The lavender is coming. So we will have a barn up this year, and I can start moving gear into that barn so I can get this barn, prepared for drying lavender next year. So that's exciting. Because I was getting
Excellent.
concerned because I don't know when the last time is you've tried to have a barn built, but I signed.
I was just doing that last week.
Yeah, I signed paperwork to get this barn built in August, and I know the owner personally, so I'm getting about as fast as you can, you know, with friends and family timing,
Mm-hmm.
and it is now December. So
Mm-hmm. It ain't gonna get a lot faster.
yeah. Yeah. So I was you know, I I'm happy to get it done. So that's
Yep.
good.
Get her done.
The barn is coming.
Winter is coming, and so is the barn. So is the lavender. Winter is definitely coming around here, though. It's been feeling colder. It's gotten below freezing a couple of times, so it's chilly.
Yeah, it has here too. Let's see what the weather is right now. But right now it is 58, but it feels warmer than that.
Okay. All right.
Because I was out with my vest on and I was sweating. But now it's pretty comfortable.
Well, I went for a hike just before I got here, and it was like it was cool out and stuff, but I had 2 layers on, and just went for a walk. So but it felt good. But it's definitely we've passed the optimal running weather
Mm-hmm.
phase. Now it gets a little chilly.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's still good running weather. Still, I'd much rather run in like the 30s than in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm an all-weather runner. I got to, I gotta admit that. So,
Yeah. Well, and I don't mind cold outside as long as it's not windy or raining.
yep,
Once that happens, then it's like, this is just miserable. But
yep,
cold
yeah,
by itself is okay.
yeah. When you add rain to a mix of cold and wind and stuff, it has a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
Ugh. Ugh.
well, so today I'm kind of, friends with Brews because I haven't eaten lunch yet. So I decided to have a beer for lunch.
I could have actually gotten one. I'm going out tonight, and for the first time in a long time, I'm going to the Brazilian barbecue
Nice.
nearby,
So
and so I've
Texas
made
Day
sure.
Brazil or something like that.
Hmm?
What's it called?
Oasis.
Oasis. I don't
Yep.
really understand. There's one of those here, and they call it Texas Day Brazil. Texas of Brazil. I don't
Uh,
even.
what?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I
Yeah,
do not think that means what you think it means.
yeah. I think you put some words together that you thought had meaning.
Yep. But since I'm watching my cholesterol these days, I decided I had like some cream in my coffee and a little bit of feta cheese with a sandwich right before I jumped on this call.
Mm-hmm.
But there will be some animals sacrificed at dinner tonight, so
Yes.
I'm trying to be good, but until then,
In moderation. Everything in
exactly.
moderation.
Yep.
Yeah. I need to do a little bit. I mean, we don't eat all that bad anyway, but I still kept my steak orders from Omaha Steak.
Omaha.
Yeah.
I still got that. We've talked about that on the cast. So I've cut way back. I'm eating a lot more, plant-based stuff, and it's good. So
Yeah. I need to try some of that just to see, because I am trying to lose a little bit of weight, and I am losing a little bit of weight because we're going on a vacation in February, and I don't really want to look like a bear.
it's funny how people think about that when they go on vacation, but it's perfectly okay to look like a bear when you're around the house and at work
Yeah.
and stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's fine. No, so did we talk about, I can't remember if we talked about the number of times attending the gym. So
I think we have, but it's been a while.
yeah, well, so I was looking at my my Wodify app, and it shows attendance. So like, oh, well, how many times am I getting to the gym? Because I just wondered, because I tell everybody I do CrossFit. How often do you go? 4 to 5 times a week. All right, so that should be 16 to 20 times per month based on what I just said there.
Yeah.
And when I looked at my attendance, it said 11, 9, 8, 15, 17. No, at no time was there 20.
Huh.
And I'm like, apparently I'm not going to the gym as often as I think I'm going to the gym. Yeah, things come up. I mean, yeah, events occur,
Sure.
travel occurs, but you know, June, I was out of the country fishing for an entire week. So entire week I didn't go.
I
But
remember that.
but I
I
went to
was
the
there.
gym more in June than I did in July when I was home the whole month.
Interesting. Do you have any, is there, do you, can you account for this discrepancy?
Not in anything other than rationalizations.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah. So but I do want to do some, because the farm, I am going to spend more time down at the farm, just because next in June. But so the lavender is going to come up between second week in June. Well, between second week in June to July 1st. That's the harvest time. It really depends on the plant and what's been happening, but that's when it's the purplest that it's going to be, the fullest flowers, the most flowers, and that's when we want to cut them.
Mhm.
So I will be at the farm when that occurs, because when it's cutting time, we've got to get it all. I can't just wait on the weekends. And so I'm going to do a couple things, like getting a little remote gym here set up. I can walk, I can do push-ups anywhere. Um, one thing I want to do is add a pull-up bar.
Yep.
Uh, so add a pull-up bar outside that I can use. I can do jump rope anywhere.
Yep.
I've got to put down a piece of cardboard or something, because otherwise I'll tear up my jump rope on the rock and stuff. But
My concern is, I guess, yeah, I suppose I could do it. I could do jump rope downstairs on my first floor,
mm-hmm,
but on my second floor and third floor, I'd be hitting the ceiling with the rope too.
yeah,
So,
and I can do air squats anywhere.
yep.
There's a
Yep.
lot of things that I can do anywhere, and really don't have an excuse not to do them.
Well, if only you had an accountability buddy of some sort.
Yeah, some sort, someone that I could communicate with every day in an easy way.
Yeah. Huh. Anyway. So,
Anyways, well, I do push-ups every single day though, except on the rest day, and the rest day kind of floats. So
yep.
6 days a week of push-ups, I feel like is pretty good. But I don't really count those as exercise because I do them every day.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it doesn't, I mean, if I sit down and do the whole or the half, the mediocre Murph routine, where I'm doing push-ups, pull-ups, and squats all, and I just do it all in a row, I'll record that as a workout.
Mhm.
But when I do it throughout the day, scattered across the course of the day, I'm not setting my watch just for 20 push-ups,
No. We'd have to make fun of you if you did.
Hey, look at that 1 minute workout, Peter. Way to get it done.
Speaking of seeing about your workout, I'm really thinking about an ultra.
Ooh, dude, you should. The time to get it was like last week with Black Friday specials, man.
I know, but I if I do it, if I go back into an Apple Watch, I definitely want cellular.
Yep.
And so I started poking around at looking at that, and uh, I didn't want to. I don't know, the Verizon. I went to it and started configuring it, and then it wanted to reconfigure all of my phones, all of my other phones, in order to change the plan.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped.
One of the analysts who reports to me at the hospital, he said, remember I saw how easy a time you had? You got your Apple Watch Ultra and you just added it to your cellular plan and it just worked. And I was inspired by that. I was like, well, maybe it'll do that for me too. I'll just do that. And so he did. And as a result, he lost cellular on both his watch and his phone.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, excellent. So he had to drive to the Verizon store to have them fix that issue for him. So it's funny you mentioned that though, too, because that was what I was going to have as my main topic for today. Was
Are you wearing it?
Nope, it's charging right now, actually.
It's charging right now. Okay.
Yep. For the first time in actually, it might be the first time that I can remember since I got the Ultra. It hit 10% last night.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, want to go to low power mode? And I was like, okay, fine. That's one thing that's different about it, though. It takes a long time for it to charge, way longer than the other Apple Watches that I've had.
Isn't that, is it better for it?
Well, it's slowing charging is generally better for the battery life. So, but it's also a way bigger battery too. So there's that. So there's a couple of factors.
Because you can get 48 hours, right?
Yeah, usually. Yeah. Yeah. I'm, generally when I take a shower, I don't wear it, so I'll usually charge it. And if I note that it's getting a little low, I'll stick it. But that's the biggest change, is just the peace of mind, knowing that like, oh, it's 30%. Yeah, I can still go for a 10K run right now and not worry about it. If I had 30% on my 8 or my 6, like, no way. So, but as I mentioned to you recently, I bit the bullet due to ongoing trouble with my AirPods Pro, first generation, the only not newest Apple hardware that I own right now. When paired to the iPhone, they would just go into Decepticon mode. So I'd be having a conversation, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, go watch the scenes from the Transformers, especially the opening credits when the Paramount logo comes in and then transforms. That was what's going on. And this has been a problem for a long time. And it was a problem with my iPhone 12. It persisted onto my iPhone 14. And it persisted from AirPods first generation to AirPod Pro's second generation. At that point, I had no choice but to accept that it was a problem with the software. And despite my protests to Apple, because I didn't want to wipe it out and restart, and the reason I didn't want to wipe it out and restart was I had no guarantee that just wiping it was going to fix the problem, or if it did fix the problem, that it wouldn't come back mysteriously. Because, and I was on the phone with the guy, the Apple rep, and he was fine. He was great to work with. But, I said, look, somehow I have, I did this, right? I know you're not accusing me of doing this, Mr. Apple support rep. I get that. But right, somehow I found the hidden setting within the settings, bar somewhere, the hidden slider, which says randomly garble audio qualities when on calls when connected to the AirPods, right?
Yeah.
I found that, and I don't know how I found it. So I don't know that I'm not going to find it again. So that's why I don't want to just wipe out this phone, which has years of my configuration and stuff on it. But I finally, because Scott was on, in our Friends with Brews chat, he's like, just wipe the phone out, set it up.
Wipe it.
Fine. Okay. All in all, it's not that big a deal. Okay. But it is interesting, again, like having a real new phone for the first time. Like my iCloud settings, those came over, right? So,
really? Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that much you can restore. Like when you sign into iCloud, it's like, okay, we know who you are for FaceTime. We know these are your Apple devices, but I still have to say, like, I have to enable SMS. Like I had to tell my iPad and my Apple Watch and my phone, you can use this device for SMS, right? Otherwise, I try to send SMS from my Mac and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I had to go through and re-enable a lot of things. I also found that there were a lot of things that I had enabled that I had previously disabled. I was like, oh, that's on by default. You know what? I think I'm going to leave that on. Okay, fine. But I'm still like, even like today, what I did decide though is I'm only going to install apps when I actually need them.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to like, yep, I'm going to need that. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need that. Just, install everything. So I started right off the bat with LastPass and my Authy and Duo authenticators and the Microsoft Authenticator, which I then promptly deleted. Why? Well, Duo and Microsoft, although they have some kind of feature called backup, doesn't really seem to back anything up. At least if it doesn't let you move it across devices.
What I like about Microsoft's is it knows you have an account. It migrates the account, but it does not work. It says, if you want to enable this, you must scan the QR code.
Yep, which is so useless because all it is a list. All it does is it makes you a task list. That's all their freaking backup does. So I had to go into all these accounts that I have, and I have a lot of accounts with 2FA. And some of them I did not have any backup for. So I had to like call the help desk and identify myself, explain I got a new phone, and go through this onboarding process over and over again. That's been the biggest hassle. Frankly, everything else, like I have not gotten to configuring my personal email account in the Mail app because several months ago I switched to Fast Mail. So I don't remember the IMAP settings and and the SMTP settings for that. So I haven't set that up yet. I installed the Fast Mail app, but I still, like, on a daily basis, I open up the Mail app and I see all my other accounts. I'm like, why can't I send something from me at my Nikolaidis.com app? Oh, I haven't set that account up yet. I just found today that I didn't have the AWS app for iOS installed.
Okay.
So, I had to go and install that and stuff. But I found out the other day when I don't know how this happened. I set up, my Hydrate Spark water bottle on which you and I are friends. I could not find any trace of an account for them. Now I know I have an account. I've gotten emails from them, but I didn't have any password saved and I couldn't find any evidence of it anywhere. So I had to set up a new account for my Spark water bottle.
Oh,
not that I care. I only have 2 friends on it, you and, one of my clients, and that was it. So no big whoop there. I don't even know. I think I sent you an invite to reconnect. I don't even know if you got it though.
Yeah, I got something, but I don't know what it was.
Yep. Confirm. Adam Bell. There it is. We're good.
Hey, Peter is accepted
my
your
friends
friend
are back.
So
yeah, everything's back to normal now. I'm back to you and my buddy Jacob. So we're good.
Cool.
But it's been a pain, and it also requires that your Apple Watch also gets set up from scratch because the Apple Watch backups go to your phone. So, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you want to pair this watch with this phone? Okay. Well, we're gonna set it up as a new phone as a new watch, because you have no other choice, because there's no backup to restore from. So again, the tack I'm taking now is like minimalist. I'm trying to install as little as possible and also configure as little as possible. Just like accept the defaults wherever I can. So, anything where if I don't need it, I'm not going to bother installing it. Like I use OneDrive as my main file repository, so I have to have that on there. I still use Evernote a lot, so I have to have Evernote. LastPass, which, yes, by the way, they've just acknowledged that some customer data was lost in their August data breach. I'm still a proud, happy LastPass customer. I don't care.
It was encrypted, right?
Well, the passwords were not breached. So that's the important part is passwords have not been accessed. So, and that's all I use LastPass for. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. They're still fine. So, but yeah, the biggest thing though is, I did end up returning the AirPod Pro's 2nd generation. They were nice, but they weren't $225 nice. At least they weren't $225 nicer than the 1st generation.
Yeah.
So now with my luck, these things are going to die any minute now, and then I'm going to have to pay full price for the replacement. But right now, knock on wood, they're working fine. So, that was one of my Black Friday purchases and returns. But yeah, running, it's interesting though, going with a new phone, re-enabling location services for all these apps that want it. Of course, that happens periodically now anyway, with, even with a new phone or with an old phone, it's Apple is making them re-up, sharing location services. So that's not such a big deal. But things like my health data, I gotta double check. Let me open this up here. Dietary cholesterol. If I look at that, okay, now it goes back a full year. There was a time, actually, the funny thing was when I got the new iPhone 14, but restored it from a backup, it only went back 6 months.
Okay.
Now that I have the iPhone 14 wiped out and set up again from, brand new, it's showing all of my data. So anyway, interesting. But you can definitely see that the trend was going like rapidly down, and then November hit and it kind of levels off a little bit. So, but all in all, it wasn't that big a deal, not migrating all the settings and everything like that. The hardest part really, really was re-enabling all my internet accounts and 2-factor authentication codes. That's the part. That's it. As far as like reorganizing the home screen and stuff like that, not really that big a deal. Something that also is funny though is the number of things that iCloud sync eventually. Like my shortcuts didn't all show up for a few days. I would open it up and there were just the default shortcuts. I'm like, are you kidding me? I have to I'm not even going to bother. Never mind. Personal automations under the shortcuts in iOS, those don't migrate at all. Those are tied just to that phone, apparently. Okay. But eventually the shortcuts all started coming in, but I can't invoke them by Siri anymore.
Huh. Okay.
But then sometimes I can. So like I have one to do a daily report. So I've been using Food Noms for my, tracking my calories and nutrition and stuff. And I have one called Food Noms Report, which just tells me how many calories I've consumed and how many I have left, and how much cholesterol I've consumed and how much I have left. And for several days I could say, hey Siri, Food Noms Report, and nothing would happen. Now it works. So it's bizarre. And I have a bunch of things, but this is something that actually happened as of the latest iOS. I have a bunch of shortcuts when I will try to invoke it. I named some of them like Overcast Security. So I'll say, hey, Dingus, Overcast Security. I use Overcast as the key word and then security, like to mean play the security podcast. Sometimes it will open up Overcast and try to play something, not as a shortcut. And other times it will try to give me a weather report. Other times it says, I can't find anything like that in your home. So it's trying to do some kind of HomeKit integration kind of thing. And I was just like, I don't understand, because if I'm trying to name my shortcuts in a way that where there's no name collisions, and apparently now Overcast, because it's the name of an app that plays music or plays content, is now a collision. Because I can't name a shortcut something like play something, because it'll say like, oh, that's the play command. That's not the name of a shortcut. Great. What do you want to play? I was like, well, I want you to play my security podcast that I just told you to, but you don't know how to do that. So then for a while I got around that by using Overcast as the keyword. And I'm sure I can't say something like podcast, because that's going to not work either. So maybe I can call it cast or stream, or it might have to get, I might have to say Jello, Jello, my security podcast. Okay, we'll do that. So yeah, anyway, it hasn't been as big a deal as I thought, but it's still a hassle.
So you have your shortcuts organized in some way. Do you go find them, or do you search for your apps on your phone?
For shortcuts, like we're talking the iOS shortcuts?
Well, no. So let's say that you want to open up Evernote. How do you open up Evernote on your phone?
Okay, so I thought about that. I do have things located in a specific place for those commonly used apps on my home screen. I now also have a bunch of less commonly used apps off in the app library. I was toying with the idea of keeping a very minimalist home screen and just searching for everything. But I ended up going back to, I have clusters of apps. I have folders on the home screen. So I've got like a system folder, a money folder, home automation, navigation, health and fitness, communication, productivity, identity and access management, and entertainment. So I've got them all located. So if I want, like, my entertainment folder, for instance, has Overcast, Music, Sonos, iBooks, and Voice Dream Reader. The identity access management folder has LastPass, Duo, Authy, RSA Secure ID, LastPass Authenticator, etc. Communication is, email, Slack, messages, Signal, Discord, another email app, another email app, another email app, another email app. The Amazon lady in the tube, so those are all, clustered into one place.
Yeah, because mine has kind of a wipe and reload wouldn't be bad, because then I could intentionally clean up some of this stuff. Every once in a while, I'll get a burr up my rear, and and clean these things up and organize them. But what generally happens is I install a new app, it goes to the last section, and then I do something with it. If it doesn't bother me, I leave it alone. But I don't like to have more than 2 pages, like my home page and then one slide. That's all I want. But if I do it again, I want one home page, and it's going to only have the most important things that I use every single day. And then I search for everything else, because there's so many things that I have on there that the only way I get to them is search. My wife will have my phone. She's like, well, where's music? I don't know. Pull down the search. Where's the search? Oh my goodness.
Pull down
and search. But how do you find, where's the icon? I don't know. I don't use the icon. Because that's just kind of fallen over from Windows of, it's so inconvenient to try to find an application now. I search for everything. My desktop completely has nothing on it.
My desktop, so I have the most common apps that I use on the dock. So like email, my web browsers, Slack, those are always there. But generally, when I'm launching apps on the desktop, I'm usually using Command Space and I'm typing the name. And that's how I do it. Like on Windows, I hit the Windows key and I start typing. On Linux, I'll do like, what's it, Alt F2, or, you know, when Linux has another, if I find myself in front of a Linux thing, muscle memory will do it. I can't tell you what the keystrokes are right now. Oh man.
Yeah, I miss Linux.
You don't have to, you know,
Yeah.
you can, it's
I don't,
free.
yeah, I don't have to, but there's so many. So, we've talked about it tons of time. Windows gives me 100% productivity. There's
Yep.
nothing that I can't do in Windows associated with my job and my life.
Yep.
Mac gets me like 95% of
Yep.
that. Linux gets me like 80%. There's so many things that I lose
Yeah.
when I go over to Linux. I end up building a virtual machine so that I can do the Windows stuff. And it's like,
Yep.
what's the point?
I did that for a while too. I remember it was 3 years ago. I set up my main machine at home was Linux, and I was going to do Windows on as a VM.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, like support for things like OneDrive, OneDrive and Evernote,
Mm-hmm.
which I use the daylights out of, that just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as good, and I didn't want to drop that. So
Mm-hmm.
as much as I would, I think Linux makes a better subsystem, a better, hypervisor layer.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather run Linux and then Windows in a VM when I have to. For me to be productive, I still need Evernote and OneDrive at my
Mm-hmm.
fingertips in the host layer. So
Yeah.
it makes more sense for me to spin up a Linux virtual machine instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's keeping me. So I really want a MacBook Pro 14-inch. I really want one, a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to get one because I have a 13-inch Dell XPS. It's out of warranty. I mean, it's 4 years old. I sent it to Ashland with college. It came back with the battery started swelling. I fixed that. Like, there's nothing wrong with this laptop. It completely works. It runs Windows 10. It's got the latest stuff on it. If I travel, if it gets, dropped in the water, I mean, I won't be happy about it, but I won't have lost a MacBook Pro that I spent $2,000 on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Uh,
a good thing.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep this 13-inch until it becomes not, it's fast enough.
Yep.
It's, I mean, it only has a 250, no, I think it has a 512 gig hard drive in it, but it
Okay.
only has 8 gig of RAM. That's the only thing. But if it's a travel laptop on the airplane, I don't need 16 gig of RAM if we really.
Yep.
All
There
right,
you go.
let's.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I have two old HP ProBooks, but they're i7 processors. They've got 16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
They would work fine as my primary device, no question. I'm a lot happier running my Mac as my main though. But I
Mm-hmm.
keep these Windows things here at my side. And one of these days when I have enough time, I'm going to get around to setting up a dedicated Amazon Workspaces desktop. And that
Mm-hmm.
will be my Windows machine.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pay for it by the hour. It's a lot more expensive if you pay for it by the hour or by the minute or whatever than if you do it by the month.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need it all month. I
Mm-hmm.
need it very rarely when I need a Windows machine. And for those times I'll spin it up and I'll use it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah. My dilemma is like when on Thanksgiving weekend, I needed to run Screen Connect to connect to a server
Yep.
to quickly do something. It was a tiny problem, not a big deal, but it needed to be done.
Yep.
And on my iPad, it is so much more difficult to run Screen Connect. And in
Oh
fact,
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
couldn't. Oh, I know what it was. I needed to create a ticket in BMS, and I could not hit the new note on my iPad iOS. I had to log into my home computer in order to create this note in the ticket. It's like, oh my goodness, I need it,
And it's not the iPad's fault, but
No.
it's somebody's fault.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
problem that does not need to exist.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's BMS. I mean, that's their problem. It's a problem with their HTML code. They should, uh, iOS, the browser is what it is. I mean, it's
Yep.
pretty fixed.
Yep. Yep.
You should make it, and it wasn't, and I live in Chrome. So
Yep.
it wasn't limited to Chrome. It didn't work in Safari either.
You probably saw my note too, there's some stuff I double checked too, because I know I use Edge primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is that, Edge at the hospital where I do most of my work, that's the unofficial official corporate standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I like being able to synchronize my settings across a browser, across multiple desktops on a browser. I can't do that with Safari because there's no more Safari for Windows. It just doesn't exist. It's not an option. So I have to use something else. And on any given day, I tend to dislike Google more than I dislike Microsoft.
Oh, wow.
So, like as a company, not their products.
Okay. Yeah.
Not their products, right? Again, we've gone over this. The big five, the top tiers, the big five pillars. I see, most evil to worst evil. Google, sorry. Facebook.
Sorry.
I was gonna say Meta's number one.
Meta.
Google and Amazon tied for number two, and then Microsoft, and then Apple. That's how it, falls into my lane. So, so I'd rather give Microsoft my data than Google my data, for example, right? But so I could run Chrome or I could run Edge. So I choose Edge. And there are some sites that just don't load. And I thought that, okay, it's got to be extensions. I turned off all my extensions. The site still won't load. And then I said, oh, wait, I know Edge introduced more advanced security settings a few months ago. It's got to be that. Nope, I have it on basic.
Java.
It's just on basic. It's not it. So, I tried the thing. And so the fix is I temporarily just set my default browser to Safari, click, page opens right up, just fine. And it's like, why? I don't understand. This is just a basic web page. I haven't tried it with Chrome. I'm kind of curious, but we're back to the days of the late 90s with the browser wars, best viewed with Netscape, best used with Mosaic. So
Mosaic. That's funny.
Mosaic.
Well, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Mosaic. No. Oh, it had to do with Chrome. Oh well, it couldn't have been that important. Apparently not. No, now I remember. So Bing, search in the search engine war between Bing and Google. Obviously, Google is winning. I mean, Google is the AdWords super engine of everything.
Absolutely.
Except if you're in a market that's not using Bing and your target audience is primarily using Edge. IT companies that are looking for an MSP are typically people who are using Edge for their search browser. So that's where I am in the search browser. My search browser war is being done in Bing, where a lot of people are fighting it out in Google because it costs me between $70 and $80 per click in Google. Oof. Yeah. So I can get it a lot cheaper than that in Bing, and my audience all has to use Bing anyway because they're using Edge.
There you go. So, I mean, that's know your target market, though, right?
There
you go.
I mean, I just shared a big best kept secret.
Tim Cockle will thank you.
Yeah. No, it's funny. The Nashville market is so saturated with IT companies advertising there. Even companies that aren't actually in Nashville, they're spending AdWords money in Nashville because, I
Sure.
mean, we know in IT now, you don't actually have to be in that market
Oh yeah.
to make money out of that market.
Speaking of marketing,
Uh-huh.
I just heard today, I didn't make a note of it, but Google has filed a suit against, I want to say G Research, if I recall correctly. It's this company that is calling people and saying your Google search results are you're not
Oh,
you're not there, blah blah blah. I just
I
happened to get one of these calls today.
I get one every single day.
I don't get one every day, but I've been getting them lately a lot more recently. And of course, they're always from local phone numbers.
Yeah, they're
For
from
me,
local
there's
phone. So they are not Google.
oh, it is not Google.
It is not Google.
And this company, I'm sure this is the one, but you get press one now. If your account is not verified, customers searching for your services on Google may not find your listing. Press one now to
Exactly.
verify your listing, or press two, or call blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've tried blocking the numbers, and they just keep changing the numbers, what they call.
Oh yeah. That's the thing, is it's a new one every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
They are always moving around.
I've got a whole bunch of those, but yeah, I get a call from them every day, and they're in my call lead log because they don't. It usually lasts about 10 to 14 seconds.
Yep.
They don't say anything, so they start talking as soon as my auto attendant picks them up.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. That's why it's press one now.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Because they don't know they're not talking to a human yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
I hate that.
well, I knew they were a scam, but now it's even more confirmed.
Yep. They need to just go away.
Yeah, that's a frustrating one. Um, so anyway, speaking of scams, so I get phone calls and I get letters in the mail trying to buy my farm.
Wow. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we talked about that. They
yeah,
offer you like what, $50 for it?
yeah, practically per acre kind of thing. But they're offering like, I don't know, but anywhere between 16 and 25,000 for my 33 acres. So one person texted me, and I actually just got another text while we were doing the podcast. But somebody texted me and they said, they were interested in buying the farm. Excuse me. And I said, certainly. I said, everything's for sale. I said, I'll take 1.5 million right now. It's a working farm. I mean, that includes the buildings and the products here and the tractors and all that stuff. And they're like, it's not just woods. I'm like, no, this is a working farm. I mean, if you're gonna buy a business if you buy this. Oh well, we're not interested. But I'd take 1.5 million right now. I mean, so
There you
listener,
go.
if you want to own a almost ready to go lavender farm, yeah. Well, and really, if I have a crop, if I've got a full field full of crop and everything it does to run the business, I mean, I could sell it.
There you go. I'd do it.
Heck yeah. But by the time I get it that far along, it's going to be worth more than 1.5. So, listener, if you want to get in on the front end, you need to get in front of it now.
Well, on that note, I think we should probably wrap this up. What do you think?
Certainly. We'll push the purple button on that one.
Ooh.
Sell the lavender. Yeah.
I'll let you push the big purple button.
All right. But before I do that, dear listener, we do want your feedback. If you'd like to discuss a particular topic, you can drop us a line at www.blurringthelinespodcast.com. You can comment on our previous podcast or something there as well. And we get notification of that. Sometimes it's spam. When it is spam, we ignore it. So don't spam us. We want your feedback. If you would like to reach us and see what else we've got going on, Peter with Paradigm Consulting Co LLC, ParadigmCC.com, YogaWithPeter.com, FriendsWithBrews.com. You can even find me there sometimes and Peter at the Elon Musk Twitter at Nikolaidis. And then you can find me at Sublime Computer Services, sublimecomp.com, rrlavenderfarm.com, and Elon Musk's Twitter at sublimecomp.com.
I am also now Nikolaidis on Mastodon. I'm Nikolaidis at infosec.exchange on Mastodon.
Nice.
Yes.
So you are an old elephant.
I am now in a Mastodon, and about 10% of the people that I follow on Twitter, almost all in the security community, are over on Mastodon now.
Nice.
And so that was a nice way to curate my Twitter list. It's just like, you know what? 90% of these people I probably don't even care about anyway. So I nuked them. I didn't actually nuke them. There's nothing for me to follow on.
Yeah.
But I heard about this site on the Accidental Tech podcast. There's a website called movetodon.org. Not moveon.org, but movetodon. And it's kind of cool. It authenticates you into Twitter, and then it will show you people who have a Mastodon profile and the same Twitter profile.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent last night just going through and curating that list, and I was like, okay, yep, I'll just click and adding them in. And there are a bunch of like, yeah, I kind of recognize this person, but I really don't care. So, I used that as an opportunity to trim it a little bit. I've still got Twitter, and I have not installed the Twitter app on my phone.
Yeah.
I have not yet installed a Mastodon app on my phone yet either, because the Mastodon ecosystem is changing so rapidly right now with this mass incursion that they're experiencing, that I figured I'm just going to give them some time and let them figure out all the bugs and stuff like that, which according to what I'm hearing from other podcasters, it's going very quickly. Things are getting better every day. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know we talked to Scott about it, but I still don't really understand it. So
it's Twitter, dude. It's just Twitter.
Okay.
It's just Twitter. You just need to select your server that you're going to be on. That's all.
Mm-hmm. But does that limit me in any way by choosing a server?
Kind of, but not really.
So if I'm on a server that I meant to find you on, but you're not actually on, I can still talk to you?
You can talk to me across servers because it's federated.
Ah, okay.
The potential downfall is that at some point, the owner of the server I'm on could decide he doesn't want to connect any longer to the server you're on.
Oh.
That's the downside. But for right now, you can just imagine it like you're on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and somehow magically they can talk to each other.
Oh, okay.
There was a proposal for that. God, that has been more than 10 years ago, where supposedly they were working on that. And of course, everybody was just like, no, we want you in my walled garden. You can't have my followers. So that never really went anywhere as far as I'm aware. Okay. But essentially, Mastodon you can think of it as anybody can host your own Twitter server, and you can get an account wherever, and they can all talk to each other.
Yeah.
But the owners of the servers could always decide they don't want to talk to each other anymore. And that's the risk.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. That makes sense. But I guess I get what I paid for it on it. Yep. Since I won't have paid anything for it.
Yep, exactly. It's worth every penny.
Worth every penny.
And it costs you less than a blue check mark.
Yep. All right. Well, now we can hit the big red button.
Big purple button.